Hello, and welcome to the eighth in an unknown number of podcasts. Today would have marked the end of the spring term, and we would have broken up for the Easter holiday. This doesn't mean that today is the last podcast. We'll see the week out, and tomorrow I'll be back with Fun Fact Friday. I'd like to begin this morning going back to the coping calendar that I talked about in yesterday's podcast. For April the 2nd, it says, enjoy washing your hands, remember all they do for you. So a timely reminder from the people at Lego about the need for us to be washing our hands during this time. If you can't see the picture right now, it's one that's been circulating around social media of a Lego man with his hands removed and placed into a washing machine. On a more serious note, something else that has been making the rounds on social media is some advice for people who are working at home. Again, in previous podcasts, I've talked about how we should try to change our mindsets as this situation develops. And so there's some advice here that we're not working from home, but we're at home during a crisis trying to work. And also we've talked about being kind to others. And so there's some advice about being kind to yourself and not to judge how you are coping based on how you see others coping. Also, be kind to others and not judge how they are coping based on how you are coping. These are very strange times still, and probably more so as we head into an Easter holiday, even though we've spent the last week and a half away from school. Last night would have been the dance festival. Shout out to Mrs. Scott at the moment, and thank you for posting the photographs from previous dance festivals. A nice little walk down Amnesia Avenue. But like everybody else, since these are the things we can't do anymore, we're left with time that we didn't know that we would have. And again, like many of you, I filled that time with some reading. And taken advantage of the fact that there are plenty of books on my bookshelf that I never got round to reading, and so just want to share with you today one of those books that's been on my shelf for a while. It's called Sisu, The Finnish Art of Courage by Joanna Nyland. And a brief look at the contents page tells us here that Chapter 1 is Facing Life's Challenges. And so it's quite apt, I thought, for Thoughtful Thursday, that I happened to read this last night, and I'd like to share it with you now. The start of the chapter is a sisu moment when the going gets tough. We all have them. They might come early or late in life, and their shape will vary. But all of us will face moments when we are presented with a choice: to give up or buckle down. I call such times sisu moments. There is nothing grand or heroic about them when they first appear. In fact, they are much more likely to inspire fear. Disaster, sickness, sudden unemployment, the loss of a loved one. These are things that we simply don't allow to happen in our minds, but they happen in reality. Once the unthinkable has occurred, how do you go on? Sisu is for times like that. According to sisu expert Amelia Larty, sisu begins where our perceived strength ends. One of the hardest things in life is having to face a challenge with no end in sight. It requires a completely new way of thinking and living. Sisu is for those situations when the odds are stacked against us and there seems to be no way out, or past our present circumstances. Unlike daredevil deeds and acts of extreme heroism, however, sisu often goes unsung. Rather than the stamina to run up a mountain, sisu is the strength it takes to put one foot in front of the other. I think one of the messages that we can take from that is not to think about an uncertain future, but to focus on a certain present. Not to think about a 2-week Easter holiday, but to live it day by day, or to fill it hour by hour. Not to worry about a lot of schoolwork that we'll get for next term, but to take each lesson and break it down into each small task. Not to worry perhaps about spending time wanting to clean the house, but to focus on cleaning the kitchen or one part of the kitchen. Rather than the stamina to run up a mountain, sisu is the strength it takes to put one foot in front of the other. No matter how small those steps, the progress is still forwards. Until the next time, be kind, take care, and stay safe.